Is Mr. Pickles working?
Mr. Pickles? Oh, what's up, Stu?
Hey, Miss Pickles, like my new shirt?
I do. That looks kind of like me if I was yellow or jaundiced or something and had hands. Nice. So, did that come from the I Love the 70s website or something or what?
No, just a friend of mine has a Good Vibes podcast.
Nice. Look at you showing off your pecs. Look at that manly figure. Look at him. Look at him showing off for the ladies.
Everybody comments on this shirt too. When I
bet they
go
do.
in the grocery store, people say, "Cool shirt."
Yeah. What are they going to say to you? You're Stu Smith. I mean, you walk around looking like The Rock. It's like, hey, dumbass, stupid shirt. And you walk. I'm sorry. Did you say something to me? No, sir. I didn't. Yeah. He's going to tell you it's a nice shirt.
Good point.
Anyway. So what's going on? I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. What happened? Where were you? What'd you do?
I was on when Eli was 4. He says I'm on vacation.
Oh,
I'm on my vacation. So it was a staycation, which is not nearly as much fun as going to Aruba.
that is true.
So I did several things. I played a bunch of zombie video games. That was fun. Read a couple of books. Binge watched like 3 series on Netflix and watched.
Chilled out a little bit.
Yeah, I got back into. I got my mind straight on a few things.
Well, I think that's really good because our topic today is talking about spring cleaning. It sounds like you did a little personal spring cleaning.
I did, and we planned a bunch of stuff in the garden. So a little spring training. And so, what do we want to talk about? Spring cleaning on the Jim and Stu show?
Yeah, we'll talk about spring cleaning in the Jim and Stu show, both personally and in business. I think is very wise.
I actually have 2 things that I can talk about, but it seems like I dominate these things. It's just quite rude. One of the things I realized is that I'm a little domineering and dominating and stuff.
Shut up.
And
no, you're not. I let you do this, Jim.
Damn.
I'm the producer.
Those good vibes. I'm not sure how that
good vibes producer. This is your show, man. I'm just here to ride along.
Okay. Well, everybody got out of the habit because we got like 2 watchers right now, and I think it's Susan and Nancy. So
Vicky's on.
Hey, look, Susan, Nancy, what's going on, ladies?
Well, actually, you have 5 because there's
right. It's
2
growing.
on Vimeo, and we're not on Vimeo.
C-Ray's here. All right.
Hey, C-Ray.
So, did you guys miss me while I was on vacation?
Oh my God, so much. No, I got caught up.
Wow.
And that was such a GGT comment. Did you miss me?
It was not. Oh my gosh. You guys have really self-actualized in the last few years. I'm proud of you.
Just following the leader.
Mm-hmm.
I missed you, Jim.
Well, thanks, Stu. All right. Well, we'll see you guys later. Okay. So spring cleaning. So I'm going to share one of the things, and this is kind of the topic of my article that I wrote for Thursday or Friday's Jim's Desk, but I'll share, whether you realize it or not, we're actually in the second quarter of the year already. That should scare you a little bit because some people are still thinking it's 2020 and are worried about COVID. But I cut my COVID beard and decided I'm done with that. So we're moving on down the trail. And so 2022 is already 25% over. And one of the things that I've noticed is that when we start the year, everybody's all like, woo, yeah, I'm going to work out. I'm going to diet. I'm going to, and that one day, you worked out, you dieted, you did everything. And by the end of the week, you're back to right where you were before. But there were probably maybe a couple of things that you started doing that or stopped doing that you should not be doing anymore, you should start doing again. What do I mean by that? Well, you know, we say, okay, I'm going to join this site, or I'm going to start doing this thing, or I'm going to adopt this routine, or I'm going to develop this habit. And sometimes that's really great. I mean, some habits like the daily content habit is great. Maybe you developed a habit of watching 5 hours of TV at night when it was cold and you were quarantined, and maybe that's not a great habit. So one thing, though, is that if you try to clean out the whole garage all at once, or you try and, you know, purge the house all at once, that can be very, very traumatic, and you end up getting overwhelmed and you stop in the middle of it, kind of like an episode of Hoarders. So what I always try and look for are, what are the things, what's a thing that I could change, or a thing that I could clean up that would have a rippling effect across multiple areas in my life. So one of those things, what's up, Peter, Vicky, C. Ray? One of those things is working out. And the other thing, though, is that my highest and best use for my business is creating or updating or modifying or tweaking wizards and scripts. That's like my superpower, coming up with these tools that just make it easy to get an amazing result. And I've got a huge board of scripts that I've been wanting to make for months and months, in a couple cases over a year. I've got groups of scripts that I want to get done for other projects, and they just never get done. Why? Because my days are filled with stuff. And so thinking, one of the books that I reread talked about how at the 3M Corporation, one of the things, what's up, Siraj? One of the things that they did at the 3M Corporation, and this was, unless I'm mixing books, which I do sometimes, but one of the ways that Post-it notes got developed was because they gave everybody 1 day a week to work on whatever they wanted. And this guy was trying to create an amazing, super strong adhesive, but they created a crappy adhesive that would come on and off and on and off and on and off and on and off. But they ended up using that to create Post-it notes, which, I mean, who doesn't have a life filled with Post-it notes, right? So yeah. I realized that I need to have 1 day a week that is devoted exclusively to creating, tweaking, or modifying wizards, or just working on that superpower. So we have decided that Friday is going to be that day. And so the other thing, when I came back from vacation, you know, it's like when you get a little bit of a breather, you end up thinking, you know, I don't want to go back to the way things were. I don't want to go back to, you know, driving myself nuts from 6 a.m. until 6 o'clock at night. Something's got to change. And then within 48 hours, and when you're back, you're just back into the rhythm. But everybody on the team was like, nah, dude, you can't be doing that. So then I was like, okay, well, at some point I'll clear Fridays. And they're like, nope, we're clearing the Fridays out now. So that's what we've done. So this Friday is really my last Friday of having any kind of meetings or anything on Friday. So
nice.
Fridays are going to be sacrosanct. I think next week I have one thing I couldn't move, but then after that, it's done.
And just be in creative mode, or is that more of a manual labor, get it done mode?
I think it's going to be a combination of both, because where I do best is in the morning, I'm most creative. And then in the afternoon, I switch over to more analytical, get it done type mode. So that's the perfect combination for, hey, I need to work on this script or these scripts. Let me get them working in the morning. And then in the afternoon, I can get them done. And then Susan's really cool at helping me to get the mechanics completed so I can hand off stuff to her. So, you know, like, here's the script. Here's what I need you to do. You start working on that one. I'll work on this one. and then we can hand it off to Nancy to make all the graphics and stuff. I mean, it's nothing for us to make 3 scripts in a day.
Nice.
So that plus that gives them time to catch up and do some other things if I'm not bugging the crap out of them. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to be really, really strict with myself about that. So that's a business thing. And I'm not, it's like, oh, okay, well, what else are you going to do? Well, let me do this because I think this is going to really make a big difference. So what's your business spring cleaning thingy?
Well, first of all, I mean, this was kind of like my New Year's thing, this
Okay.
new backdrop and podcast background. And it has made a nice background for not only my podcast, but when I'm visiting other people's podcasts. Right. And we actually talk about some of the things behind me, which has been a lot of fun.
Sure.
So that has been my change of the year and
Okay.
focusing more on podcasting a little bit. So, however, if you're going to stay on top of what is happening in the younger person market, right?
Yeah.
You have to keep your eyes and ears open on what's going on, right? So I'm lucky that I have a son who's 19 years old and he's in college. And the other day he came home, and this is what I'm talking about, keeping your eyes open.
Okay.
He came home with a hoodie that he had purchased from some website that says, they're kind of like stupid shirts like mine, right? They just said chicken and rice. That's all it said on it. And
Okay.
I'm like, what does this mean?
So-
And it's like some TikToker talks about eating chicken and rice all the time. He's like a bodybuilder or something. So chicken and rice, and people are buying his stuff. So I'm like, huh. So the younger generation buys apparel with apparently just kind of silly comments on them.
Random crap.
So what is my spring all about, Jim? What do we transition? No, what do we transition? What do we transition to? When
In the spring?
In the spring. What are you gonna as far as workouts?
A lot more cardio, a lot more cows and cardio.
There you go. And what did I do?
Oh, snap.
Made a t-shirt. Cows and cardio.
Nice.
So anyway, I sent it
I'll
to
buy
my
one.
I sent it to my son, and he's like, "This is awesome."
Did you charge him?
No, but
I want
mean,
one. Are you selling them on your store?
I'm selling them on my store now. So, in fact, I just started 2 days ago, and I'm almost sold out.
Oh,
So
crap, dude.
I got
reserve one
orders.
for me.
I got one for you. I'll send it to you.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, it was just an idea that I was like, what can I do this spring to kind of change things up? And I had this remember my 25-day countdown to spring?
Yeah.
That was almost like a meme making challenge every day for me. So that was
Right.
kind of like my spring training, right? And I was getting into the spring cleaning, spring training, getting ready for the spring. And I sold a lot of this book called Spring Training, right? Still selling it, right? So, and with that, it's been a transition from weights into calisthenics and cardio. So, for people who are beginners, boom, calisthenics and cardio. So it's been a theme all spring. And actually had my best month ever in the years that I've been doing this last month.
Wow. Your best month ever?
Yeah.
Damn, dude, that's great.
Yeah. Which prior to this was the previous March.
Okay.
Was my best month ever. So I beat my best month ever from last year.
That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, it's been a good month.
Side note, you need to go down to the craft store. I know there's a craft store near where you live. Congrats, by the way. And Vicky says congrats as well.
Thank you.
Go down to the craft store and get yourself one of those mini easels so that you can set that easel on your right there so that you can set a book in the easel
Yeah.
right where you got your hand, one of those little mini easels, and that way that can be like your featured book of the whatever.
Good call. Good call.
We'll
do that when we do this.
Oh, look at you!
There we
All
go.
right, you don't even have to go to the craft store.
We're
Look
ready
at
there.
him. That's nice, man. I like it.
So yeah, we'll do that. It's all good. It's all
That's
good.
awesome.
There
There
we
you go. Okay, so that was a business one. So what's a personal one? So this is something that's been bugging me, and that's one of the places that you should look for your little mental, personal spring cleaning stuff. What's something that's bugging you and always kind of under the surface all the time? You want to just get rid of it. You want to clean that up. And by the way, Nikki says, "Hey, Jim, in an airport listening to you guys." That's awesome. That's commitment. We like that. So one of the things that's been really bothering me over the last 6 months, my shoulder's been hurting, and it's been getting progressively worse, like real bad. And so I started going to get therapy on it. Actually went and had acupuncture last week. That was interesting. Acupuncture's no joke, dude. I mean, they hit that nerve, they get it in there, and it's like, I can't move my fucking arm. What? And it's like, what is going on? Just relax. It's like, but I can't move. Just relax. All right. So then I'm sitting there for 15 minutes looking like a pincushion, trying to relax. And then it hurts in my shoulder, and she's putting needles in my feet. I'm like, it's the shoulder. You did hear me that it's the shoulder. Yeah, we're doing some kind of pathway thingy or other stuff. And she put one in my foot, and I felt it in my wrist. She put one in my wrist, and I felt it in my shoulder. I said, I think I better shut up, or she's going to put one in my tongue, and I won't be able to talk. It was pretty interesting. I'm going back for another one.
I've never done that.
It's pretty interesting. So my point, though, is that I realized, and my workouts have been crap, like because I can't do two specific things. I can't do pull-ups and I can't do push-ups, but I can do rows on the TRX without any pain, and I can do chest presses on the TRX without any pain. So there's a lot of stuff I can do, but what I was focusing on was the stuff that I couldn't do. And so I was letting everything else go. And then I realized, and I sent you a text either yesterday or the day before, I've been walking. That's one thing that saved me, is I've been walking every day, and not just like strolling along, scratching my butt, but I mean like walking. And so I said, okay, I need to start running. So I ran a couple miles. I was like, wow, this doesn't hurt. And then I just, instead of focusing on the stuff that I couldn't do, I started focusing on all the stuff that I could do. Yes. And realized that I can still do about 95% of the things that I need to do. And by doing those things, it will probably loosen up the things that I can't do. And I realized also that because it was hurting a little bit, I've been sleeping on it wrong. And so I need to sleep in a different position and do some other stuff. So the point is, part of my mental, personal spring cleaning has been to get rid of an idea that I had subconsciously picked up, which is that if I can't do pull-ups and push-ups, then I can't work out. And so if I can't do pull-ups and push-ups, then I need to do what I can do with upper body. But maybe this year I should focus on losing some weight and working on my distance. I'm never going to be doing 6-minute miles, but if I could do 5 8-minute miles, that would be okay.
Yeah.
So and getting back up to where I do the 8-mile circuit down to the lighthouse and stuff. So that's going to be my goal. So when Stu and I, meet and talk about workout stuff, that's how we're going to build my workout stuff. And so now I feel a lot better. I got that out of my brain.
Good.
And now everything, it's weird, because if you have one thing that's clouding you up, everything else is clouded. So if you can clean out that one thing, what's that one thing that's been bugging you, that if you got rid of it, a whole bunch of other things would work a lot better and do a lot better. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
You know, one thing that I created, Jim, and I
Uh-huh.
created this a long time ago. I created this probably 20 years ago, but I've never been really consistent with it. You know, it was one of those things that I kind of taught, but I didn't really do myself.
Okay.
And you'll see what I'm talking about. But it's every transition from the season, right? And if you look at it, you can have a 12-week cycle, which I went really hard from January until the end of March. So roughly 12 weeks. And you got this 13th week in there to finish the quarter, right? Because you got 4 13-week cycles to finish 52 weeks.
Right.
So my training cycles are typically 12 weeks long. So that 13th week, I started for the first time ever really listening to myself in this event was I took a week and did nothing but mobility days.
Okay.
A whole week of mobility days. Now I played around with some upper body, like kind of like the systems check that you do where you just test out a few things, but nowhere near the level of volume or intensity of my normal workouts, just mobility, flexibility stuff, a little bit of cardio, nothing crazy. And I tell you, that transition into the spring really helped me like come into the spring with new vigor, if that makes any sense. Like nothing was hurting me. I was ready to go, ready to change make some new goals, things like that, because all I've been doing, prior to that was more lifting cycle and things like that. So now just made a spring change. So that has been my spring cleaning, both in business and personally. And it all had to do with just some mobility work, and just keeping my eyes and ears open on what the youth are doing these days.
Well, that almost sounds like a vacation if you think about it. Taking a vacation once a quarter.
It was a staycation of my mobility work. It was really easy, and it was completely felt like I needed it.
Right. That's
Yeah.
cool.
My wife always looks at me because one thing I told her a long time ago was, I said, here's a list of all the overtraining symptoms, right? And if you start to see it, just let me know because I never see it, right? So she always makes a comment when I have dark circles under my eyes, I got bags under my eyes, I'm not shaving for like 4 days in a row, something like that. And I'm grumpy, like I'm real short tempered sometimes and just like say something smart aleck. And she just looks at me funny. She goes, "You're overtraining." Right. And it's just, I was like, huh, okay. Let me pull back. I'm going to do a week of mobility days, going to try to take a vacation from working out. And it really does help.
Okay.
Really does help. I can tell a big difference.
Cool. Well, thank you, Peter, for talking about. I've heard about the dry needling thing, and I think that's something that the doctor can do. So I'm gonna check on that.
That may help you with the shoulder.
What's the worst thing that'll happen? I mean, I'm only paying $30,000 a year for insurance, so maybe they'll pay for $50 of it or something. Who knows?
It's crazy how much I pay not to get sick.
So what I would be curious in the comments, everybody that's here, share your comments about what would be some things that you could do for your spring cleaning. Like sometimes just making a public declaration of it is enough to raise awareness to the point where you will do it. So what would be a spring cleaning item for you, the dear reader, dear listener?
Another legitimate one and literal one is just cleaning your desk. Yep. Get that thing organized and crap not hanging everywhere. That makes a big difference.
Yep, it does. and I've learned my best strategy for that is just, I'm a piler. I make piles. It's easy, Susan. So she's over there. She and I used to share an office that was literally like 8 by 12 was the size of the room. And so about every couple of weeks, she would just grab all the crap that I had laying around and throw it in a box. And then if I didn't touch the box for like 3 or 4 months, then the box got chucked, or I usually would ask for one thing that was in there. But I don't know why it is. I don't think I'm ever going to change. But so what I do is I just collect up crap, pile it in a box, and if I never touch it, I'll look through and see if there's anything that's like valuable. And then it just stuff gets tossed. That's the only way I can do it. You know, it just is what it is. I'm not going to change. All right. I'll be 55 this year. I'm not going to change. Not going to happen. Not changing. Not going to happen. So there you go. All right. Well, thank you, Kathy. She says, loving the short beard, Jim. My mom hated the long beard. My wife didn't really like it, but it's part of my weight loss plan because I shaved that puppy off and I lost a half a pound. All right. Well, Peter says I'm tossing out everything that's just not worth keeping around. That's good. JD says I'm going to make Monday filmmaking day. That's awesome.
Good call.
That is good. JD's the one who told me to tell you, Stu, that not everybody gets to be a Marine.
That is true.
Marines
Marines and firemen. I could have, if I had another life, I would probably choose one of those two.
There you go. Or you could be a
good gigs.
Fireman in the Marine Corps. All right. So let's do the podcast. What's podcast on today?
Spring training.
Spring training. Okay. So 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Sales what's the what episode is this?
156.
156? Okay.
Yes.
Cool. I think I put the right number in, but if I didn't, it is what
you
it
did.
is. Okay, cool. So is it the right number because I put it in, or did I put in the right number?
Put in the right number. Remember, this is our, if you do the math, this is 3 years of 52 weeks of podcast. 156.
Wow. Okay. So here we go. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Sales Copywriting and Content Marketing Hacks podcast. I'm your host, along with my trusty co-host, Mr. Stu Smith. Welcome, Stu.
Hello, Jim.
We have reached a momentous milestone, an M&M, a momentous milestone. Today is podcast episode 156. Those of you who can do math at home without your iPhone will realize that 3 times 52 is 156, which means we have just completed 3 years worth of weekly podcasts. And it took us a little longer than that because we've had vacation, holidays, and miscounting a few times in there. But 156 podcast episodes, that is quite the achievement. And I think we have had a few downloads. So
Yeah,
that's a
pretty
good thing either.
Bravo, sir. That's 3
So-
years of content.
That is. So that's a good thing, Martha. Okay, enough of that. So we are talking about spring because spring has sprung.
Yeah.
And our topic today is what, Stu?
Spring training.
Spring training.
What's that
So
mean?
it play ball.
Yeah.
It's spring
ball.
training.
Spring training. So for you and your business, how can you apply some of the things that you may have learned in previous life of springtime coming, getting ready for the rest of the year? Because that's really, if you think about spring, this is really the new year focus. People really focus on the rest of the year starting in spring.
Okay.
I've always thought that the best New Year's resolution would be if we could just wait 3 months and do it on spring. Because everybody wants to get in shape for the summer when it's springtime,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So they could get a 3-month head start if they started January 1st, but that's okay. We can start in springtime. We can start 1st of April as well.
Okay. I agree. So if I was going to think of, if you think of spring training, what is spring training? Spring training is, if you think of it from a sports analogy, it's refocusing on, let me give myself some rooms, but it's fundamentals.
Yep.
It's building habits. All right. And it's a lot of practice to get better.
It's also, Jim,
Uh-huh.
you have an opportunity to learn something new as well.
Ooh. All right. Learn new stuff. I think it's also a time of new beginnings where you can
Absolutely.
slough off the old.
Yep.
Okay. So if we were going to apply this to our business, what would we do? You know, if we talk about fundamentals, one of the things is to really take a look at what works in your business and what doesn't. Honestly, I mean, it's we will do the stuff that works, and we'll do the stuff, the thing. What's the saying in the military, that you revert to the lowest level of your training or
Yep.
whatever it is.
Yep.
So
you don't seed expectations, or you don't rise to the occasion. You fall back to your lowest level of training.
okay, so focusing on fundamentals, I think, would be a smart thing to do. What works? What could you recommit to or start developing the habit to do in your business? I tell everybody, you know, one of the smartest things you could do is spend 30 to 45 minutes a day creating value for your audience and leveraging that value to bring new people into your audience. That's the smartest thing you could do that will pay dividends forever. That right there. I mean, if we're talking about fundamentals, it's create value, distribute value. It's what we talk about in content marketing. It is basically, you know, identifying who your audience is, coming up with cool ideas to share value with them, consistently creating great content every single day. You don't have to do webinars. You can do 2-3 minutes worth of stuff, and then systematically distributing it, spending time connecting with people, bringing people into your sphere of influence, and then concentrating on monetizing the whole process. If you just focused on those fundamentals every single day, that's kind of, you can do all of that in under an hour. All of that in under an hour. So, you know, those fundamentals. You know, what are the fundamentals of online business? Generating leads, making sales, and providing value to people. Again, that's it. Those, everything else is just complicating one of those, or falls under one of those three headings or categories. You know what I mean?
Yep. Hey, Jim,
What was-
something about those fundamentals that I learned from you
Uh-huh.
that I wanted to add, and it required kind of dissecting your day a little bit,
Yeah.
and
Too
and
early?
and seeing where yum and just dissecting your day in a way where, because you made a statement a while back ago that said you're never going to get rich doing $10 an hour work.
You can't make $500 an hour doing $10 an hour work.
Or whatever. Yeah, I can't remember exact quote, but anyway, that struck me because I was, and what I have really strived to do all of last year and into this year was take away all those little hours that I was doing $10 an hour work, right? Like doing Lulu Express. So now I don't have to input orders, and ship books. I don't ship any books now. It's all automated. All of those things, has taken, significant amount of low income time away from my business. And that was a fundamental change that really has been paying off.
Did that impact your profitability at all as well? Are you, in other words, are you making more money or less money or the same money by having but I'm just totally curious as a side note.
Well, that's a good question. I mean, overall, yeah, I'm paying a little more to get that done versus my time,
But you're not doing it.
but I'm not doing it. However, I'm able to market more and spend more time really nailing down my message, whether it comes from all the social media platforms, newsletters, emails, all of those things when it comes to, the marketing of what that work. And that is paying, like I said, paying dividends. I'm putting more time into that versus
Sure.
filling out addresses in a, stamps.com.
Because that's a $500 an hour activity as opposed to a $10 an hour activity. And that was eating up how much of your time every single day?
Or at least a couple hours.
Yeah.
I mean, in big busy days, it could be more than that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
minimum, let's say average 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, 50 days, 50 weeks a year. That's 500 hours. And if you're making $500 an hour, 500 times 500 is 250,000.
Yeah.
No, or 25,000. I don't know. See, my math ain't all
Yeah,
that
it's
good.
up there. It's up
I mean,
there. Anyway, it's more than $10 an hour
Yeah.
times 50, 500.
500
Yeah.
times 500 is 250,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's scary. That's a scary figure. And even if it was let's say it was only half of that. Let's say you're making $250 an hour now. That's 125,000. Let's say you're only making $100 an hour. That's
Yeah.
$50,000 in effort that you don't have to put out, that you can put into other stuff, because that's an expense. That's not that wasn't, that's a time expense. That is your time expense. You can't make money, so that should be treated as an expense.
Yeah. Like I said, that is about as fundamental as it gets in a business.
But see, that's one of those one things that changes multiple things.
Yeah.
That's like, rearranging your stuff so you get your workout done first, as opposed to getting going and then it doesn't, then it gets shortchanged or it gets put off or all this other stuff. But then when you got your workout done, then the whole rest of the day is great because you're doing everything guilt-free, not, hey, I got to hurry up and get this done so I can go work out and then all this other stuff.
Yeah.
At least for me.
Yeah.
So, but then building habits, what kind of habits would you think people should build this year for their spring training?
Well, if you change your fundamentals, you're going to find more time perhaps to build new habits.
Mhm.
You might have the ability to fit new habits in, or you just go back to the fundamentals and reestablish those old habits that that are working for you.
So I wrote an article probably 15 years ago called Hidden Profits in Spare Change Time. And the article was basically about how we bleed huge amounts of time over the course of a day, transitioning from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. So if you have, like, I don't know, looking at this particular day, I've got, we're doing the podcast, then I have a thing that we're doing after this, and then there's like a 40-minute lag time until lunch. And then after lunch, there's another thing, and then I have a meeting, and then I have another meeting, and then I have like a blank spot. And those blank spots of like 15 minutes here or 20 minutes there or 40 minutes here, 10 minutes there, a lot of times those get unused. It's kind of like coins in your pocket that just kind of get thrown in the ashtray in the car. I guess they don't have ashtrays in cars anymore, but or it stays in your pocket, or you throw it in a jar. It's like in 15, 20 different places. But if you took all of that change and you kept it in the change jar, all of a sudden, pretty soon it fills up pretty fast. Now, this is before the COVID national coin shortage and all that other stuff where, please use exact change because the coin shortage. How the hell did COVID cause a coin shortage, Stu?
I don't know, Jim.
I don't understand that one. I honestly don't. I probably get shut down for even mentioning the name, in the podcast. I don't understand how COVID caused a coin shortage. Were people eating coins trying to get over COVID? This went along with, I don't know.
The one thing I learned from COVID is I think I'm an introvert.
And if you weren't, you became one.
I enjoyed not having somewhere to go.
I understand that. I understand. But then going to the grocery store became like a survival horror movie. Because okay, I got 12 and a half minutes to go in and get these 30 things. And I'm going to go. I mean, I knew exactly where to go, the thing to grab. And I could hold my breath in like 3-minute increments and get my heart rate up to about 100 beats a minute and still be okay. So I can get through this grocery store on 6 breaths, 12 minutes, $65. Let's do this. And then I'm like timing myself.
I went early in the morning. No one was even there.
Yeah.
If you go like at 4 or 5 in the afternoon, you're screwed.
Yeah. You go first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
And the only person you're competing for clean air with is the dude running the floor buffer. So my point though is that building the habit, instead of just going over to Facebook when you've got 10 or 15 minutes, or going over to, or checking your email for the 50th time, or screwing around on your phone looking at Google News or something to kill time, see how many of those, develop the habit of seeing how many of those little spots of spare change time that you could use to get something done. So I'll give you an example. This morning, I needed to, Susan sends me assignments. Susan runs the business. Nancy is her cohort. I just do what they say. But she sent me, I need a thing for Friday. She gave me the idea. So when I went on my walk to warm up, I talked it out into Otter. And then I'm like, okay, sometime I got to get this edited. But I had time between one thing this morning. I had like 12 minutes. And I said, I wonder if I can get this thing edited in 12 minutes. Let me just get this thing edited. And sure enough, I got it edited in like 11 minutes. So I sent it to her and got it done. And so this is one of the biggest things. Like if you getting on content marketing scripts or something, or getting in the Jim Edwards method, and then using a wizard or using a script. It's like, hey, I got 15 minutes right now. Let me go use like the word of the day script. Let me go use this. Let me just do that real quick and just bang this thing out and go post it onto social media and then load it into the content distribution software. And let me see if I can get that done. And you would be amazed with that focus, with a little micro deadline, at how much stuff you can get done during the day, where those things that are on your to-do list, and I'm pointing at it over here on my whiteboard, the things on your to-do list that like haunt you, that you can get done faster than you think. We spend more time thinking about the things we're supposed to get done than we do actually doing them. More time getting ready to get ready instead of just doing them. So that would be something that I'm recommitting to, rebuilding the habit of really maximizing those things. And then when I'm not working, not worrying about working, like not checking email on my phone. When it's done, it's done. And when it's on, it's on. That kind of a thing. I think that's my big spring training, fundamental building habit stuff. That's really what I'm going to focus on this year. Can I sit back down?
Sure.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate that. So, well, we ought to bring the girls on real quick and see what they want to do this.
Well, we still got a couple more on that list of spring training.
Okay.
Not quite done yet.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Well, what would you, let's, I talked about these first two. You can catch the last three. Yours was the thing about new beginnings and talk about learning new stuff, Stu. What's new stuff you want to learn now?
Well,
chicken and waffles.
Yeah. You know what? That's going to be my new t-shirt.
Chicken and waffles.
Chicken and waffles. Chicken
Okay.
and waffles. Yes.
On Sunday.
Like I said, chicken and rice sells. Why not chicken and waffles? No, I'm I'm just playing around with some apparel ideas. Not that I'm coming up with my own
Article
you know,
15 Black
yeah,
Rifle Coffee stuff.
yeah, I'm not coming up with my own what do you call it? Like
Not-
clothing line. But I'm going to definitely have some fun t-shirts along the way. And I think they're going to be related to my seasonal transitions throughout the year. So like spring, calisthenics and cardio. Not sure what summer or fall will bring, but we'll come up to it. Winter lift cycle. Just
Nah, that winter lift cycle doesn't work, dude.
no, you don't think so? Like
No.
I said, I'm just trying to figure out, stay on top of what might be popular. So what it enables me to do is just keep an open mind, open eyes, open ears, and just observe any new changes, any new whether it's technology or it's just trends, any new trends. It's enabling me to stay in that mindset versus just keep doing the same old thing over and over again and wonder why it's not working.
Right. Well, that's that. You just talked about evolving. You can't
did.
evolve if you're not learning. You can't evolve if you're not observing and seeing what's going on. And I think that's a fundamental that I think we all could use a little bit more of, even though I just said, hey, you need to fill every, try and maximize every moment, but you still have to make time for, I'm not going to say contemplating your navel, but you should spend some time on introspection and observation and notice, okay, what's working, what's not working. And I did a lot of that while I was on my staycation of just staring at my calendar and looking for trends, looking for where time was going and why was it going there and what was I thinking I was going to accomplish, and being more, how could I be more strategic with the stuff that I'm doing to be able to, do 1 + 1 = 5 instead of 1 + 1 times 1 is still 1.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of what I've been doing, because you go through the motions, or you're just like, okay, let me just show up and get this done, as opposed to, hey, let me be a little bit better prepared. Let me show up, let me get this done, and then let me use this in a whole bunch of other ways, which is just a little bit of introspection and planning can make a huge difference.
Hey, Peter asks about talking it out in Otter. He just asked you what that was.
So Otter.ai is a service that does automated transcription, and I think it costs like $250 a year for the pro level. You get 6,000 minutes a month.
Damn.
But so we use that to transcribe pretty much everything that we do. And when I do coaching sessions or things like that, you can have it automatically transcribe your Zoom meetings. So that's a cool value add. You say, hey, you'll get the recording of the thing, plus you'll get the transcript right away. People are like, oh, that's really cool. But they also have an app, and the Otter app is really cool because I can turn on the Otter app and I can make notes. But as I'm making notes, not only is it recording the audio, but it's also transcribing it in real time. So what I'll do is get all my thoughts out on a particular thing, and then I can download it as a docx file, and then I can edit it into an article.
Nice.
And so, or a blog post or a newsletter article or something like that. So that's one of the things that we'll do is I'll use one of the wizards inside of Content Marketing Scripts or the Jim Edwards Method Premium. I'll create a script. I'll talk it out. shove it over into Otter. Otter will transcribe it. And so then I can, take it from there. So it's a really cool, I think it's too cheap. Honestly, I'm not telling them that to raise their prices, but $250 to have what that does, as opposed to like rev.com, which charges 10 cents a minute or something, or more, 20 cents a minute for
Rev is expensive.
Yeah. So it's the automated transcription on Otter is just as good as the automated transcription on Rev.
Nice.
So, the more I use it, the more I can do stuff, or, I'll just get on. And sometimes one of the coolest things you can do is just kind of talk things out, like just talk out something like you were talking to somebody on the phone. And then I'll listen back to my thoughts at 1.5 times speed. And then that'll get me thinking. So it creates a whole new mental feedback loop. And then typically what will happen is I'll make some more notes that will clarify everything that I just did or talked about. So I've come up with a lot of cool ideas and a lot of cool content doing that process. And it's good for about a 2-mile walk.
Amen.
If you're walking at about a 16-minute, I've found my best pace is about a 16 to 17-minute mile pace. If you get down to 14, 15, you're more worried about how fast you're walking. But then, so what I'll do is I'll talk it out on the way out for about a mile, and then I'll listen to it at 1.5 speed on the way back. And then I'll clarify, I'll do a second recording and do all the clarification and everything.
Nice.
And it's a pretty neat little system.
Well, the cool thing, what you did there is, one, you learned a new thing. So Peter's learned about Otter, right? So you've learned how to use Otter. You've applied it to your fundamentals. You've added this habit of talking into other habits of walking.
Right.
And now it's enabling you to save a lot of time and evolve in your other things. Well, so anyway, there's a whole lot of that list that you just described that you are doing just by, that one little function.
And interestingly enough, that tying that walking time to being productive in my business and to being able to think things through and do all that, and tying that to money and all the other stuff really helped me to stay walking, especially this past January and February when it was like really cold outside and I didn't have an indoor gym with a treadmill or something. That motivated me. It's like, okay, I got to get on my stuff and I got to get outside because I got to walk through. I literally got to walk and talk through all this stuff, and I got to get this done. Plus, it distracted me from the fact that it was like 25 degrees out with 30-mile-an-hour winds. So, anyway, there you go.
Awesome.
So there you go. All right. So that's it for the podcast. If you're not a member of the Sales Copywriting Content Marketing Hacks group on Facebook, you should be, because it's amazing. Head on over there and join. Got over 25,000 people in there, and they're actually pretty nice folks who will help you out with some stuff. But remember, as with any group, you need to give to get. So if you want feedback, give feedback. If you want answers to your question, answer other people's questions. That's how we keep the whole process going. So anything else to add on this topic, Stu?
No. My biggest thing is just make today day one, not one day.
Absolutely.
Start today.
I love that. And that's make today the day you look back on a year from now and say, wow, I'm really glad I got started. Instead of the day you wish you'd gotten started and then you're still trying to get started, because that sucks. All right. Good job, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.